going to go get it and bring it to him. That's just easy.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to the 266th episode of the Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. It's Wednesday, we're back, and we have a great guest today coming on around 12:20. It's going to be North Murray head coach Preston Poag, and I'm very excited about this because they made some history this last week in their win over Pickens. I think the most important thing is they won the game. You always want to win when someone has a historic performance, and that was Judson Petty. He did some other things defensively, but it was offensively 16 catches for a single game state record, 360 yards. He also had 4 touchdowns, and then his quarterback, Skylar Williams, who's taking over that role, contributed to all 6 touchdowns. He had the 4 passing, and then also rushed for 2 touchdowns, including the game-clinching one. I think it was a 5-yarder with 29 seconds left. So a very exciting game, and I think it's interesting that Judson Petty is the guy that broke this record. Last year, Judson was a junior. North Murray actually set a school record for the most points in a single season. Made the playoffs, ended up losing a tough first-round matchup to Fellowship Christian. They actually are in a pretty loaded region with Rockmart, Model, Haralson County, Fannin County, and actually Haralson didn't make the playoffs out of there. So they took the 4 seed despite only having 2 region losses. Tough matchup against Fellowship, but overall they lit up the scoreboard last year, had some really exciting games, and Judson really had a breakout performance in the model game. I think if memory serves, he was just a guy that was able to just get involved in a variety of roles. Could play running back, he could go in on defense, he could go in catching the ball. He's a great receiver, but then he really took over in that model game. It was a huge win that helped them secure that playoff spot. And then this year, he's obviously playing an even bigger role his senior year, but they did have to replace their quarterback, Seth Griffin, who in that Pickens matchup last year, the same one that just happened with this historic record, Seth had 8 touchdowns last year. I think 7 through the air, 1 rushing. And then Skylar Williams, who I mentioned, had all 6 of the touchdowns in the win on Friday. He took over, and he's been outstanding. So the offensive production is still there. They're 1-1. That was a huge win for them to secure it. Pickens kept coming back. They kept fighting, and then they just gave the ball to Judson, and he did his thing. And next thing you know, you have a historic performance. So that's very exciting. And I'm also interested in kind of what went down in that Week 1 Dalton game. Dalton ended up winning that one. They're a 5A school, North Murray's 2A. And I think Dalton is a team we need to really consider in 5A. So let's just look at them right now, because they're going to be in there with Cartersville, Calhoun, Hiram, and Cass. One of those teams is not going to make the playoffs. Yeah, and Woodland, Cartersville. So last year, they opened the season with that win over North Murray. They fell close matchups to Sonoraville. Rockmart got the win over Lassiter, fell to Cedartown, but then Dalton actually beat Hiram, Woodland, and Cass before falling to Calhoun and Cartersville. And then they advanced to the second round where they lost to Mo Dixon and Creekside in the second round. So this season, you have Dalton opening with a 35-14 win over North Murray, and then they were on a bye last week, and now they're going to play Sonoraville. Again, they lost by 6 points, so definitely one of the games we'll be watching this weekend on our top 30 games, that Dalton-Sonoraville. And speaking of our top matchup, our feature game this week is a very, very exciting one. It's going to be Carrollton and Rome. If you look at the overall schedule for this Week 3 lineup, I think it's the best game by far. There's a lot of teams off this week on byes. You got Walton off, a lot of the 7A schools getting this week 3 bye. So you have some other really interesting ones. You're going to have the Cedar Grove Westlake. Definitely excited about seeing the results in that one. But in terms of an intriguing matchup, this is huge. These are two teams that are familiar with each other, and then you have a Rome defense that's been absolutely lights out going up against the number 1 sophomore quarterback prospect in the entire country, Juju Lewis, and a team that made it to the 7A finals last year. So a lot of people will be tuning into that. It will be on Peachtree TV. We'll have it streaming on the Atlanta News First app, and we will have a game preview up at scoreatl.com later today. We got Rusty Manziel in here. He's about to talk to both the coaches and get the insight. But for me, I think the key is Carrollton's offense. They're going up against a really tough Rome defense. We got to see them in that opener against Cass getting the shutout. How'd they get that shutout? They produced a ton of turnovers at opportune times, and their defense was so good at tipping passes that generated turnovers, but also allowed them to get some key stops on third down. So if they can disrupt that Carrollton offensive line, stop the run, that's going to be huge also. Trying to force them into third downs. Obviously, Carrollton, they've got the receiving targets. They got a quarterback that can move. It's one of the best that there is. So anything that can help them out and not getting in those situations where Carrollton can really open up the playbook, that's going to be huge. But I do think the defensive intensity and effort will be there, and then Rome just can't fall behind in that game. You do not want to be coming back from 2 scores. They got to keep it in striking distance and try to control time of possession. We'll see who wants to defer, who wants to take the ball first. And then I like their offense. I like Reese Fountain. He made some impressive throws. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's careful with it. He's a leader. He gets fired up. And I think he's excited to be going up against a Carrollton team. He's got a ton of games under his belt. He feels like he is worthy of being in that top 10, top 5 conversation in terms of quarterbacks in the state. A lot of lists have him there just from his career and the results he's been able to produce, and it will be an exciting matchup. And it is just a non-region game. It's not going to factor in, but I think both teams really want to come out and have a solid performance. They both are eyeing championship runs this year, and this is a good test for both teams. So really exciting matchup to watch for. So what are some other ones that we will definitely be keeping track of this week with our roundups and score updates? I think one that you won't see on Friday, but you'll see on Saturday, it's definitely the Creekside and Mater Day game. In fact, let me pull up. I know Coach Dixon did a feature on that matchup today. Let me pull that up real quick, because this is a huge deal for Creekside. If you look at them, they've obviously played some tough competition within Georgia, but really hadn't played many out-of-state teams until the last several seasons, and then this year especially, they have been on pretty much a national circuit. And I mean, Creekside, it is an established team. It's got that reputation. I think a guy like Eric Berry helped put them on the map for sure. But this is a big opportunity for them. They're playing the number 1 team in the country. So, all right, I found it right here. And then they had a big win over St. John Peters this past Saturday at the Morehouse Classic. All right, so in this interview, Coach Dixon talks about that win, 34-15 over St. Peter's Prep, who is also a nationally ranked team. And Najee, did that win put Creekside in that top 25, the national poll? Not yet. Okay, so they're not in it yet, but they did beat they're probably in the top 100, but yeah, not in that top 25. So said, yeah, St. Peter's a really good team. They're bigger in person than we expected. And then in that game, Creekside has a very exceptional two-headed attack in that backfield. They got Travis Terrell and then Roderick McCrary. Both those guys are going to get going in every single game, and then they do so many different things. Travis Terrell plays defense. He's an incredible cornerback. Coach Dixon sees him as the best player in Class 5A. When I saw him play and I saw his impact in that win over Kennesaw Mountain Week 1, it reminded me of Jontavius Curry in that state championship win Thompson had over Fitzgerald, where you just had one guy completely taken over. Travis Terrell can do that. Well, then on Saturday, it was Roderick McCrary's turn. He had an absolutely brilliant game and totally dominated. So in that victory, it was a 15-14 deficit for Creekside at the half, and then they outscored St. Peter's 20-0 in the second half. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that halftime locker room, listening to them get fired up to just have such a strong showing in the second half. All right, so then the question to Coach Dixon was, why schedule this game? They're going to have to go out to California. They're going to, I believe, arrive on Thursday, kickoffs on Saturday. He goes, so many people have asked, why would I take a game against the number one team in the country? I always respond with, why not? It's an opportunity to expose Creekside and our community to the entire country. We were looking for a game last spring. We wanted to play a national team once again. After a couple games fell through, we were presented with this opportunity. I teach my kids to be fearless. Here's another question. Did Creekside scrimmage Milton in the preseason? Who was that? That was Gainesville. It might have been like Hughes or someone. Yeah. All right, so then they had to raise money for the trip. I mean, so much goes into this. It's not just putting on the schedule and teleporting there. But you have Vincent Berry at quarterback. We mentioned Travis Terrell, Roderick McCrary, and then another name to watch, Shane Kelly at the receiver position. He got them going against Kennesaw Mountain, and he is having a big season. A really good-looking receiver, so definitely watch that. So now, this is something we haven't usually seen, but they actually did an interview with Reese Fountain, so we'll get to hear what he has to say ahead of this matchup. All right, so why is the Carrollton game a big one? You face a team with an elite quarterback. So Reese said, Rome-Carrollton is a huge rivalry. Both programs are big-time programs. I have a ton of respect for Coach King and the Carrollton program. We've faced some of the best quarterbacks in the state since I've been here. He lists Aaron Nolan, Juju Lewis, A.J. Swan, M.J. Morris, Sam Horn, Cons Hill quarterback. I've been to a lot of camps that Juju was at, gotten to know him. Obviously, he's a big-time player. And Coach Reed will play anyone in non-region. We treat every game the same, though. And that is a good point, because you look at Rome last year, no team had a bigger margin of victory in their region. They totally blew everyone out. It was 46 points a game, and so they ended up having a strong playoff run too. But you really have to see tough competition if you're going to be in running clocks or big-time leads in the region. You want those four-quarter battles to get tested. All right, so what advice do you have for players hoping to be recruited, especially at the quarterback position? He goes, I would say don't go to every camp out there. Be picky. Learn that size is very important. Quarterback recruiting is different because it's such an important part of the program. Coaches put a lot more time in recruiting quarterbacks. And what is Reese Fountain's current recruiting looking like? Let's see. All right. It looks like he's got offers from Georgia Southern, Samford, and Southeast Missouri State. 6 foot, 180 pounds. And yeah, he picked up these offers. Looks like the Georgia Southern one came in May. Samford came in August of 2022. So he's been a known prospect. I think people just want to see exactly what he's going to be able to do this year out there on the field. All right, so what is your skill set? What are you bringing to the table? He goes, I'm accurate, quick, smart, and my release is as quick as anyone out there. I bring a strong work ethic and great study habits every single day with a positive attitude. His career so far, he's 514 of 725. That's a 71% completion percentage. How is this Rome team different than other ones you've played on? This Rome team is different than the other previous three. We have a strong leadership bunch with my senior class. It really shows. Our defense is very, very tough. The underclassmen we have are an important part of this team too. Vegas Harmon, Toot Stallings, Chance Arthur, Parker Smith are some big-time underclassmen for us. I would say personally we believe we have the best receiving group in the state. DK Daniel, Nick Hester, Toot Stallings, and BJ Jackson are starters, but we have 6 or 7 wide receivers who can flat out play. Our offensive line is underrated. I'm telling you, they are ready to go. Chance and Javarius McDermott and Joseph Butts are 3 running backs, and all 3 can go. So very impressive interview from Reese right there. You can see the leadership. See him giving his teammates a shout out. He's confident in his ability. He talks about all the great quarterbacks he's been at camps with, has already faced off with. So you got to tune into this matchup. It is going to be really exciting. In terms of the other ones, Douglas County McEachern, definitely a must-watch result right there. McEachern just played Hughes. Douglas County just played in our event against Mays. Sire Hardaway was fantastic, and this will be an exciting matchup for sure. Collins Hill and Brookwood. Collins Hill has been off since their week 1 loss to Milton. I believe that game was on was that a Saturday? Sorry, a Thursday game. And so the Collins Hill Milton.
Yes.
Yeah, so they've been off for quite some time, and then Brookwood's coming off that tough loss to Walton, where they gave up a 63-point defeat, and I think that was the biggest loss they've had in quite some time, if not ever. All right, you got Buford, North Cobb. We talked about that one. I'm interested in North Forsyth, West Forsyth. Let's see. Peachtree Ridge and Loganville. Now we have that record wrong. Peachtree Ridge is not 0-2. They are 2-0. We will change that. Northside Warner Robins against Warner Robins. I've got some interesting intel. I'm not going to be able to break it yet, but it involves Warner Robins. That would be incredible. I got to confirm it. Dutchtown and Jonesboro should be a great metro Atlanta area matchup. Savannah Christian and Marist Jefferson and St. Pius. And we'll talk about some of the other ones on the other side. Let's see if we have Coach Poag ready to go. Has he hopped on yet? Yep. Let's go right to him. All right, Coach, how's it going?
Doing good, man. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. So I think the first thing with any historic performance is it's always important to get the victory. And I know you guys had an exciting game in that one. So talk about just that first, just being able to get that win on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, we played Pickens last year, and it was really close, and we came back and won. And this game wasn't any different. I mean, we get down 10 points early and battle back to tie it up at halftime. And the second half, get a couple touchdown lead, and they come back, get onside kick, and tie it up, and we win it there at the end. And just a hard-fought game from both sides. But I tell you, my guys didn't want to lose. That was a big thing, and that's really the culture here. I mean, we believe we're going to win every game, and we're going to fight to the last whistle, and that's what they did. And, when you have a guy like a Judson Petty that breaks a record, it's got to be games like that. Can't really be blowouts at times because they don't play the whole game. But when games are close like that, some good things happen on the stat stuff too.
Yep, and that's exactly what I got the sense of is Pickens kept coming back. You guys are battling, and then Judson just has that give me the ball attitude. And I think you said that last year when he was a junior. He's a guy that can do so many different things for you offensively. But talk about kind of when his breakout performance was last year. where you saw him really step up and saw what type of senior season he'd have?
Yeah, I mean, it's really started since he's a freshman. So each year he's just gotten better. And, in big games, he plays really good. He's a type of kid you wouldn't think. I mean, he's a big team guy and not a big guy that talks a lot. He leads by example, and nothing surprises me. I told somebody the other day, he's by far the toughest player I've had. I mean, you thinking about the other night when, it's 100 degrees and he's playing both ways and he snaps on the punt and he didn't come off the field, and to have numbers like that and also a bunch of tackles on defense just shows you the type of player he is. And, I've come to expect that. I was thinking after the game, somebody said something about he had a big night, but I was thinking about, a little over 200 yards, but you get wrapped in the games, you don't pay attention to stats. But just what a great performance, and a leader on our team. I took him out a couple plays on offense in the third quarter, and the type of kid he is, he's pulling on my shirt saying, I'm ready to go back in. So, and you got kids like that, it helps you show these young guys how to play, and it helps you program.
Yeah, it is amazing because, he has the 360 yards. It's a new state record. Then you look at the rest of the stat line. He's adding, I think, 42 on the ground, and then all those tackles defensively. You said he's the toughest player. I mean, what is he like just each day at practice when he can play all these different positions? I mean, is it the same sort of deal at practice? He's just always taking reps?
Same at practice. I mean, I have to be careful of giving him too many reps. I told coaches this week, I said, we need limited reps a little bit, because if we don't, he's not coming out. So, I mean, and he will not say a word about it. So we have to be smart on that. I mean, it's going to probably take him till, today or tomorrow to get everything back. That's a lot of soreness and tired. So he does it in practice every day, and like I said, we sort of expect that from him. And he's just a really, really good player that knows how to play the game. I mean, you think about a lad McConkey, who was a great player for us. Petty's not near as quick as Ladd, but Petty has ball skills that you don't see all the time. I mean, it makes people miss and runs great routes. So.
Yeah, well, we got Rusty in here right now, so he wanted me to personally apologize once again against not getting on the Ladd train early enough, but we'll keep that running joke going.
Hey, he wasn't the only one, so, man, what a player, and what a good dude, too. I mean, I've been blessed to coach some really good players, and Petty and Ladd are two ones that it's really fun to coach.
Yeah, I want to talk about your offense, too, because I think you said you had an option veer background. You guys run the spread, and really you're able to just do a lot of different things. We've seen some really versatile playmakers, and I think it just seems like your offense, it's all about just the playmakers and taking advantage of what the defense is giving you, and then having an attitude where you guys want to score on every possession.
That's exactly right. That's our attitude, and and I'm always been the guy that I want to mix it up. I want to make it hard for the defense coordinator when they're game planning us. But I am an option guy. I like to throw the ball, and we didn't run really any veer this last game, so it just depends on what we do on the game plan. But I'm always going to get it into playmakers' hands, and it's hard to game plan against a Petty because I move him around all the time. He might be in the backfield. I might have him motion out of the backfield. I might have him at receiver. I might have him in a slot. So I do a lot of different things with him. And we have other good players too. I mean, our quarterback's dynamic. Skylar Williams, you're going to hear a lot about him. Vandy called me yesterday about him. He's going to be a really good player. So we've got other pieces too, and we got a little bit more depth in our line, a lot of scrimmage. So, but I'm going to tell you, that's the mindset. It's been the mindset since I've been here. We're going to score. We broke the school record last year for scoring, and our kids' mentality, let's go break it again. So a lot of football left to be played. So we're going to keep working and then getting after it. Yeah,
and you were talking about your quarterback Skylar. You had Seth last year. He had a big game against Pickens, the 8 touchdowns. How much playing time did Skylar get last year, and then what's impressed you so far?
Well, Skylar's played for me since a freshman, but he came here and he was a quarterback, and he repped stuff at quarterback, but he played receiver and DB for me last year and played some quarterback when we got up. Seth had a great career here too. So it's just his turn now. He's got 2 years. He's just a junior and just a coachable guy. I mean, the first game we played Dalton, get beat, but made some mistakes. First time he's played quarterback in a varsity game to being the dude. And we made some mistakes, but we corrected those mistakes this last week, and it was a total night and day. And that's what I tell him. I mean, playing quarterback's hard enough. Let's just get better each week and don't make some of those same mistakes that could cost us. And it's okay sometimes to throw the ball out or run out of bounds. Don't let people hit you. So it's just a learning process with him, and he's going to continue getting better each game.
Certainly, and that had to have been a great win for him, just starting off his junior season. What was it like who was the first person that brought to your attention that he had racked up 360 receiving yards?
That was funny. That's a great question. I have a hard time sleeping after games. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I hadn't gone to sleep. And one of my coaches that does all my stats, he was up doing the stats, and sort of my phone lit up, and I thought, let me look at this. And that's the first time I saw it. And I woke my wife up. She's like, what are you doing? I said, man, he caught 16 passes for 360 yards. And we didn't know it was a school record. I mean, a state record until we come in on Sundays and game plan. I said, look up what the numbers are for the state record, and that's how we found out. So
that's awesome. And then I think that's what's so cool about it. You guys are just fighting, trying to get the win. He's getting involved on defense. Petty's just doing it all. And then to find out that a guy that is playing all these different roles in the game just set the receiving record, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you think about all the great receivers in the state of Georgia, and then that record has stood since 2012. So I mean, it's hard to break. And it couldn't happen to a better guy. I told you earlier, he is all about the team, and he don't like all that recognition. We're getting ready at 1 today. The Georgia High School Football Daily is presenting him the Player of the Week, and the first thing he asked me yesterday, am I going to have to speak? So. Just a guy that loves football, and he's great for like I said, he's great for the whole program, and showed he's how to practice and play.
Absolutely. And so you got Ridgeland next, Northwest Whitfield, and then the region is coming up. But, I mean, who else has impressed you so far just on the defensive side of the ball, the offensive line, and some of these other playmakers?
Yeah, I mean, we got an Austin Newton that plays center. He played a little nose, but he mainly just plays center. He's a returner. He's an all-region guy that he gets after it. He's a football player that leads our offensive line. We've got some young guys on the offensive line that played a little bit last year, but this is the first year they played a lot, and he sort of leads that. The Petty at receiver, and then we got Hudson Hewlett. Hudson Hewlett has been a really good player. He's a sophomore that plays receiver and DB. First game he had 20 tackles, and last game I think he had 18 tackles. So he's got 38 tackles, and he weighs at like 150 pounds. He's just a really good player, and he caught some big balls. He caught a big ball there at the end of Pickens' game and set us down there on the 5-yard line. He played really good both sides of the ball, and Jacob Daly at linebacker, is a sophomore that started as a freshman. Probably the hardest hitter on the team, has really been good. So, like I said, we've got a good many players that make things happen, and we just got to keep them healthy.
And then, what has Judson's role been defensively?
We've moved him all around. We've had him. We play like a robber type defense. We've had him at robber, and we had him at safety, and had him at corner. But we put him at linebacker now. Better fit for him where he can act all the time, and that's what's amazing too. You play a corner or safety sometimes not real physical every play, but we got him at linebacker now. It's physical, so he's had to do that, and just shows you how special a night he had.
And then I know last year one of the things you stressed defensively is just getting off the field on third downs, getting those key stops. I mean, what has the defense just overall, what have you seen just through the first 2 weeks, just compared to last season, just the potential for this year?
Well, we just got more experience over there this year. Played a bunch of young ones last year, and I've been fortunate. My brother, who was a head coach at Christian Heritage, he's running my defense here, and he's done a great job. And just like the other night, I tell you, 2 big plays in the game. get the ball back, it's tied, and we get it back on 40, and we don't get a first down, and we line up like we're going to go for it, and I do a little pooch kick, and we get it down on the 10, and our defense holds them 3 plays, and we get the ball, and we score with 20-something seconds. So, I don't know if that would have happened last year. I think we're going to be a lot better on defense, and when we start in the region, it's going to be that's going to be the difference. We got to get off the field and get the ball in our offensive hand.
Yep, and so you're talking about Christian Heritage. I think you used to be there. You played fellowship a lot when you were there. That's who you got matched up in the playoffs last year. You guys were the number 4 seed in that crowded region. It might have been a 3-way tie. You ended up falling short. But what was that just lesson from the playoff loss, going up against a tough fellowship team that ended up making a run, and just what your goals are at this year in 2A?
Yeah, I mean, our goals are always the same, man. We want to win the region playoffs and make some noise and get that's going to always be our goal. Last year we tied a 3-way tie, and a tiebreaker we ended up being 4th. And I had a history playing. I've played fellowship like 7 times in my career, and that's the first time they beat us. But they were really good. I mean, coached well, and a couple plays in that game could have changed too. But the key, I think the key to the playoffs with anybody, man, you want to win the regional to get the number 2 seed. You don't want to be the 4th seed because you're never going to get it. So that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for the region championship, and we know it goes through Rockmart, and we'll play them the last game. But, man, we have a lot of football games before we get to them.
That's right. And, yeah, there were 3 teams at 4-2 last year. So was that a tiebreaker formula or a coin toss that ended up putting you guys at 4?
No, it's a plus 12, minus 12. So, we play model, and I get it down there on like the 15. And if come down to it, we're up 7 points, and if we take it in and score, I mean, it's like a minute left. We get the number 2 seed, and even the model coach thought I'd go for it. But in my mind, it's like, man, we got to win this game. I don't want to throw a pick and they return it for a touchdown, and all that plays into it. But it's not a coin flip. I sort of like the plus 12, minus 12, and with the region opponent. So.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, especially a region. I think you guys might be scoring more points than any region in the state. You got some offenses that can light it up. What is your general sense of some of these other teams in the region, though? I know guys like Rockmart, you talk about how they love to run the ball. They can run past a lot of teams. They're physical. I think they've already played Cass and Cedartown, Fannin County. Is it just where these teams might replace some guys year in and year out, and just a wait-and-see approach?
Yeah, I mean, I know about all of them. Bill Parsons at Rockmart, they're always going to be good. He might say they're going to be down, but he's always got good athletes that can run. He's just faster than anybody in the region. He's got a bunch of guys that can get after it, and they could do a great job coaching them. So, they won it a good many years, so it goes through them. You want to beat them if you win the region. We go to Fannin last year, and we stick it up the first half, and so they're going to be good again. They're coached well and hard-nosed, and Model's got a bunch of good athletes too. I mean, you better be ready to play. I mean, and I tell our team, if we don't practice and practice well and have the right mindset, any of these teams can beat us. And, and you got a Harrison County who they've been down the last couple of years, but they're coached well, and they get after it. I mean, they're hard-nosed. They just hadn't had a whole lot of speed. And I hadn't seen them on film this year, but I know they're going to be hard-nosed, and you got to battle them. We got to go there this year, so that'll be our first region game. So we better be prepared and have the right mindset to get after every game.
Absolutely, yeah, and it might have been down a few years, but, yeah, they had Clay Hyde a few years back, an absolute beast of a high school football player, and so you'll have these next 2 – I think, is it 2 non-region games before you guys have the bye?
Yeah, 2 non-region. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so
best of luck, Coach.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and thanks for having me.
You bet. All right. So there goes Coach Poag. Very excited about what they were able to accomplish in that victory. Most importantly, got the win, but just an insane performance, and that's what I think's so cool about it. Is they didn't even realize it. He was doing so much on the field. I think he had like 17 total tackles in that game. I mentioned his teammate, Hewitt, who has something like 28 tackles through 2 weeks. But, I mean, he's just on the field, running the ball, catching the ball, and then you add it up later and realize it's 360 yards, 16 catches. That's just amazing. And we'll see what type of season he's able to have. As you guys probably figured out, he's not just lining up in one role. So we might see a game where he rushes for 200 yards. Might see another one where it goes through the air. So he's making his impact felt in a lot of ways. And as you guys know, that's the same program where Ladd McConkey came out of, and he was playing quarterback for them that last season. So they have a track record of having these big-time playmakers put in specific spots that just help benefit the offense. They set the school record for points last season. Let's see how much they put up. It was, 41 points per game last season. Now, they did allow 36, so every game was exciting, a lot of shootouts. But that's just something they've done a lot. So in terms of putting up 400 points in a season, they've done it 2016, 2019 when they won the first region title in school history. I believe that was Ladd's senior year. And they ended up going 11-2, made it to the quarterfinals. That was their farthest playoff run. They advanced to the second round in 2016, and they have made the playoffs 7 straight seasons heading into this year. So it would be very interesting. But let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break and thank our sponsors. We'll be back on the other side to close it out. Welcome back. So let's break down a little bit at Carrollton. We looked at Rome, but let's see what Juju has done through these first 2 weeks. So the first one, huge televised matchup against Hughes, came down to the wire. They have a chance. The final seconds are ticking. They're down on like the 3-yard line. Hughes ends up getting, I believe, 3 stops in a row. It was crazy because there was one where they all thought it was the final play of the game on it. I think it was a batted down pass or one that went out of the back of the end zone. Hughes came running out, but then the refs ruled that there were 2 seconds left. They got another chance, and they could not complete it. They had a chance for sure. So credit to Hughes. They came up, made some big defensive plays, including number 99, who had a stripped fumble on their first carry that I think that forced them to burn the final timeout and then put them in that situation. But Juju in that game, 20 of 30, 186 yards, and a touchdown. Obviously, that Hughes defense is the real deal. And then another tough break for them was Bryce Hicks getting hurt right away early in that game. Probably their co-MVP offensively last year. So then in that game, Kamari Farmer, the sophomore, stepped up. He had 3 touchdown runs for Carrollton. So that's a name we didn't see last year with Carrollton. But now in the absence of Bryce Hicks, watch out for him. He's number 21. Averaged 4.5 yards per carry against Carrollton. Receiving, Caleb Odom, the Florida commit. He is as good as it gets. Bama. Where'd I get Florida from? My bad, guys. Yeah, he is Bama. Thank God we got Rusty in here. So, yeah, the Bama commit. Roll Tide. Yeah, these Bama fans ready to jump down my neck. All right. But, yeah, he is just absolutely massive. A target. That's why some people question, like, why didn't the ball go to him? At least one of those plays at the end. 6'6", 220 pounds. We're also going to see him play some defense. Just an unbelievable athlete. One of the most highly touted guys in the state. All right, so that's how the Hughes game went down. And then they played South Paulding the second week. South Paulding, they had to replace just a ton of their offense. They've been prolific running the ball, but they're a little young, so that was a tough matchup for them. Carrollton jumped out 42-0 lead at the half, put up a touchdown late, 49-0 victory. So Julian Lewis in that matchup, 11 of 17, very efficient, 241 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then the sophomore came in, Dylan Bishop. He threw a touchdown pass as well. Running the ball, another 3 touchdown performance from Kamari Farmer. He's got 6 touchdowns through 2 games, 3 touchdowns in both. Not much depth behind him, but that's because they have been pass oriented. In that win over South Paulding, looks like he had 10 different guys catch passes, 5 different guys catch multiple balls, and then 9 different receivers at about 30 yards in that game for a total of 301 yards through the air. Keywan Kofer, 2 catches, 59 yards, a touchdown. Caleb Odom, another 2 touchdown performance off 3 catches. And then the freshman, Satterwhite, he had a 30-yard touchdown in the 4th quarter. Defensively, I'm sure they got after it. I do not have the stats, but they got the shutout. So I think, the key, it's got to be, can they keep that offense balanced? Caleb Odom, Julian Lewis, all those receivers we mentioned, they're going to be able to pass the ball, but they're going to have to run it when they need to, especially if they're trying to preserve clock and just keep that Rome defense honest up front, because they got some size. That number 98, Terrell, is an absolute disruptor and force on the defensive line. He was all over it. He didn't really get a lot of stats in that Cass game, but he impacted almost every play, and I think they probably gypped him on some of the QB hurries that he should have gotten, because I know for a fact he had more than what they attributed to him. Special teams, I think, will also be big time in this game. Don't want to give up any big returns, but I'm confident in both teams to be able to cover. They're both extremely well coached, and so I think it'll be a good game, and that's exactly what you want. So you got 2 great teams, unbelievable athletes on both, and then a quarterback battle to watch. How are they going to manage the game? How are they going to make big throws in the key moments? And then both coaching staffs know how to put their players in the optimal position and have played in many, many big games. So there you have it. A huge opportunity, though, for Rome. Man, if they come out and get a win, that's going to shake up everything. And then an opportunity for Carrollton to also add a signature win after losing to Hughes, beating a South Paulding team that they were heavily favored. I think beating a top 10 opponent would be a big deal for them. And Rome has ascended to the top 5, I believe, in every 6A poll. And speaking of, I'm going to go over the composite rankings real quick, and then we'll close out the show. We'll be back tomorrow with Keeping It Real with Najee Wilkins. So in terms of the composite rankings, I find this interesting. You got Buford 1 and Walton 2. So my ranking, I put Walton number 1. I was the only one to put him 1, so that boosted them up. And then the AJC has them at 4, GPB 5, 680 has them at 3, and then thought this was interesting. The Maxwell Computer Rankings have them at 2, and then the Max Preps has them at 3. So in terms of the composite, number 1 and 2 right there. All right, Mill Creek is number 3 in the composite. Ooh, I think I didn't do them any favors right here. So AJC has them at 3. GPV has them at 4. I have them at number 7. have them at number 7. So sorry, Mill Creek. I still think you guys are the real deal, but weighed you down a little bit. Still, got to be happy about number 3. All right, 680, number 4. Max Preps. Sorry, the Maxwell has them at number 1 and Max Preps number 2. And then you got Colquitt at number 4 in the composite, Carrollton at number 5. In 6A, let's see. It looks like Rome comes in at number 7 in the composite. Scores got them at 6. GPB's got them at 6. AJC 7. Maxwell has 8. Max Preps 7. 680 at 6. So that's interesting right there. And yep, Douglas County Scores the only one that has them in the top 10. They got 1 vote. So big opportunity for them. Other 6A, you got BT cracking the top 10 for the first time. Receiving votes, Marist, Brunswick, and Creekview are on the outside looking in, and then Northside and Warner Robins just broke in the poll as well after their big victory, and they play Warner Robins this week. So there is a lot going on in 6A this week that I think is going to impact the polls, where a lot of the 7A teams will be off, but watch out for the B for North Cobb. So that's it for the rankings. I'm going to have this preview up shortly. We also have the volleyball state rankings coming out today. Go to scoreatl.com. Also subscribe to our YouTube page. We have so many videos up there. Yesterday's show, underrated and overlooked, breaking down some players and also some college football matchups for week 1. And you can also check out the replays of our televised games so far, and there's been a bunch of them. You had the 11 from the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. The Sheriff Cups games are up there if you want to see Tucker taking the title this year. And you also have all of the great Atlanta Bash, all 4 of those matchups. This is the exact same broadcast that you'd see on television. It's very convenient to watch. I personally have watched the Walton-Grayson game 2 more times, and I've been just as impressed, and I've shared it with other people, texting my former Raider classmates. They're like, wait, is Walton that good this year? I'm like, you need to watch the first half right now, and then I check in on them, and then once they've finally seen it, they're like, oh man, maybe I need to see a game. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to tell you. Get on the train. But yeah, check out our YouTube page, watch the replays, check out the content. It is very exciting. So we'll be back. Hope everyone has a good day, and thank you, Coach Poag, for coming on.